Hi, Troy. Well, immigration was Donald Trump's #1 issue. He's issued about to issue about 10 executive orders related to immigration on the border. We're chewing that one over, having a very vigorous discussion off camera as well as on camera. We're joined by Adjutant General Mick McGuire, former leader of the Arizona National Guard, Republican State Senator John Kavanaugh, State Senator Annalise Ortiz, Democrat of Maryvale, and Yasser Sanchez, an immigration attorney. Yasser, I'll start with you. Let's talk about the economic impact. Undocumented immigrants have a large role to play in the hospitality industry, the construction industry, agriculture. What could the economic impact of Donald Trump's orders be on those industries and Arizona?
If you look at the back of every major industry in this country, in this nation, and in this state, it's being ran by immigrants, documented and undocumented immigrants. And so what I hear every day from business owners across the state, across my community is, how can I protect my people? They're good people, they're here, I cannot run my business without them. What people find out the second they look into the numbers is that immigrants put in way more than they could ever take out from our country as far as resources. You want to rebuild California? Who's going to rebuild California, right? You want something built? An immigrant's normally going to build it. And what Paul Ryan came to the huge realization when Mitt Romney said, hey, I want you to look at Social Security reform, is how many billions of dollars undocumented immigrants, not documented immigrants, undocumented immigrants put into Social Security. So if you want Social Security to go broke, take out that $92 billion a year that undocumented immigrants put into Social Security.
John Kavanaugh, Senator, what about that? Because we hear Republicans talk about the drain of undocumented immigrants on an economy, and yet we know they do participate in it.
Well, all of the analysis that there'll be all sorts of problems if we remove these people here illegally are a static analysis. They don't take into account the expenses that illegal immigrants give to us in terms of health care, in terms of criminal justice costs, in terms of educational costs. So if they're gone, those costs go away too. But there will be no sudden absence of all 11 to 20 million illegal immigrants. Trump is starting with those that are criminals. He'll begin with them. And to the extent that he starts to go down to people who are working in other occupations, all over the world, there are waiting lists of decent people who respect our laws asking to come into our country. As we export, as we deport,
which the president is currently stopping legal immigration. He's slowing down every single immigration process. Okay. Respectfully.
As we deport the people who disrespected our laws, criminal or not, we can replace them with their fellow country persons who obeyed our laws, who have been vetted, and who are on lists to come here legally.
Graham, I have to push back on this notion that the people that are going to be targeted are all people who have done something wrong or pose a threat to Americans. That is just not true when you look at the data. People that are undocumented are far less likely to have a criminal record than U.S. citizens. And when you look at some of these orders, like the one to get rid of the CBP-1 Act, which brought order to the border, because you now have asylum seekers who are able to have a cleaner, easier process of saying, look, I am seeking my right to asylum under international law. Now that is no longer here. Those people were doing things the right way. And now that's going to create mass confusion at the border and more potential for these people to be put in harm's way when they are sent back to Mexico and to become victims of sexual assault and economic exploitation.
Every so-called undocumented person who came here on day one broke the law. They broke the immigration law. They're all lawbreakers.
If they are asking for asylum, they are not breaking a law. They have an international right to seek asylum in the United States.
Let's set last words for Senator Kavanaugh.
Yeah, they all broke the law, and they're all here illegally. And a recent Ipsos poll that I read in the New York Times, of all places, yesterday, says that 54% of the American people want all of them deported. 84% want the criminals deported. Times have changed. The culture's changed. Americans were fed up with this illegal invasion.
Got it. Ended there. We'll get to you the next time, General. Tram, Troy, a very vigorous debate, as I was saying. Back to you.
Yeah, and, again, we just have to wait and see. There's a lot of talk, and our president is the chief person doing it, and we'll see what he can come up with and what he can try to enforce, for sure.
Always difficult when it comes to the border. All right, Bram, thank you.